Hi everyone and welcome to an episode of Game Art. In this episode we're going to look at the Skylight and how we can use its settings to change how things are shaded inside our world. So here I've got a scene set up already, and by default the Skylight and the directional lighting has made the shadows quite dark. So I want to make sure my scene is a bit more well lit inside here, and we can do that by changing some of the settings in the Skylight. Before we do that though, it's best to understand what the difference is between the directional light and a skylight. So the light source here, the directional light, is basically the sun, and the sun will light up the whole entire thing, and because it's a stationary light source, it will bake the shadows into the light maps. However, a skylight isn't. A skylight is going to be dynamic, and it's used to help recast an overall light across a whole entire map based on a captured cube, what we call a captured cube map, which is essentially it captures the colouring of the world around it and projects that back into the world. So if you've got a sunset, it'll make sure everything has this sort of like red hue through it. However, we can also use it to help alleviate some of the shadow issues we have. So with the skylight selected, we're going to look at the settings down here. Now, the very first thing we got in the light section here is that we want to be changing is the intensity and cast shadows. So intensity works as you think it does. It brightens the scene or darkens it. The light colour here we can also change to light the scene however we like throughout the whole entire world. I'm going to set mine at white. And we've got whether we want to affect the world or not. And the main one we want is this cast shadows. So because I want everything to be lit throughout, I'm going to rely on my directional light to be the one that casts the shadows. So if I turn cast shadows off for the skylight, you can see now the world is now lit a lot more brighter with the skylight now turned off for its casting shadows. The world's still getting shadows from the directional light, as you can see from the buildings, but the skylight is no longer casting shadows as well. Instead, it's bouncing light throughout the whole entire objects. Okay, and you get a lot brighter scene to work with. So everything in here is technically in shadow. We just lit the shadow up with our skylight, and you can now change the skylight intensity up higher if you want it even brighter, or you can tone it down if you want to get a uniform look throughout. Now you'll notice there something that happens in Unreal, and that's called auto exposure. So if I go to dark, then light it, you'll see it sort of adjusts. Okay, this is something that the eyes do naturally anyway. So what we can do, we can actually turn that off if you like. So we go to edit and we go to project settings, and in your search box you're going to search for auto exposure, and you'll see auto exposure is ticked off or on. We can turn it off, and now we don't get that issue. It'll be constant light no matter what and where we go. So that's how we lighten our shadows. And now we've got a scene that's lit a lot more realistically with lighting as such you would have in like a tram or underground car, where you would have light sources throughout the tram. However, you may not want to put in a load of static light sources in there because you don't want to get a point light effect. Instead you want it to be more ambient and throughout. And that's how you achieve that with a skylight. So it's a very quick episode in Game Art. If you have any questions about lighting or want to know how to do anything in particular, please let us know in the comments below. But essentially you're playing around with these values until you get something you like. Okay. Next time I'll look at lighting, I'll go through how to use a distance field ambient occlusion. This is going to be quite useful if you've got moving things in your world that you may want lit. So you can't bake the shadows in, but you want nice lighting and shadows throughout anyway. Anyway, thank you for watching, and leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.